Yo, how y'all doing today?
Positive and forward, folks.
Positive and forward. What's today's episode about?
Mental health.
Mental health. Is mental health the elephant in the room?
I would say more often than not, absolutely.
Why would you say that?
Um, because just imagine the different things that we all go through in a day's time, and how those things affect our mental, our psyche, our movement, our whatever we do.
Right.
And then you have that thing, and the reason why it's an elephant in the room is because that's the unmentioned, and in our community specifically, it is not. It's starting to be talked about more, but it's not accepted as a thing. We have this whole, you got to be strong, you got to be, everything is, we're not given the ability to just be human.
Right.
And to give clarity and proof and truth to the fact that we are human, and there are going to be things every day that affect us in different ways, without even talking about where we came from, because all of that shit plays into it too.
So let me ask you this. Personally, for you, how has mental health affected your life?
Woo-wee. Because I am that every woman, that strong force. In previous times, it was most definitely not something I talked about for me, but it has affected me in varying ways. It has been the thing that has been challenged silently.
I would have thought you, because I know a very vivid experience you must have where basically your mental shut down. I would compare that to mental health. And
Yeah.
I would say that moment in your life triggered a bunch of stuff for you.
It did.
So the thing for me that resonates with me, this whole mental health thing, even in basically talking a little bit about what my sister has gone through, this stupid camera. The thing for me that, first of all, what resonates with me in the sense of her and even just us two sitting here today is we've both broken through bouts of mental health, and that's such a blessing because wherewithal itself, just the thought, just the available present thought that you're gifted with. We're blessed with wherewithal. Many people don't have it like that.
Right.
You look at the job interview process, just to start, and how this unfolds. And there's very minute things that go on in the brain where people aren't able to even get jobs because they can't understand how to go through the interview process properly. And then people are turned away from opportunities because they can't quite prove themselves to be mentally healthy enough. And for me, what that means is that's a triggering effect for all of this stuff in the world: crime, drug dealing, certain forms of abuse, and domestic or otherwise. All of these killings, you have to be somewhat mentally ill to take someone's life. So it's important.
Temporarily or otherwise.
Temporarily or otherwise. So you understand that most of the people, whether they're doing drugs or dealing drugs, that stuff is rooted in mental health. And so I think that if we challenge the mental health industry to take more of these people, our people particularly, into the system and not over medicate them, not feed them with drugs, not try to mask the issue. Take small moments to dig into the issue, explain to these people what their issue is, because you that therapist, you that educated professional, you that person in charge of these mental health patients have the ability and wherewithal, you were blessed with that, to explain to these people what it is they need to do very minutely to break through these issues and get a job. Therefore,
Yes.
not sell drugs and kill people.
Because honestly, like he just said, we are blessed, but not every single body, person, being is blessed in that same way to break through, to know how to find those measures, to know how to, pull out.
To reinvent yourself, per se.
Right. Not everybody has that ability. And it needs to not be harshly judged or looked at as funny or strange or something's wrong when, let's be honest, every single one of us is seconds away from just that thing that's too much. Every single one of us. And that's in books. Okay? That's in books. Now, we all know books, But I can promise you, every single one of us are just that second thing. It could be any traumatic event that pushes you or yours over the edge. Anything. It could be drugs. It can be a divorce. It could be an illness in your physical. It could be getting fired from your job. And that was just that last thing that pushed you right on over the bridge. I'm not certain, because we might as well dig into this a little bit. I'm not certain what my thing was. I'm going to say 100% here. I have struggled probably before this time period, but as far as knowing 100%, this is what I was struggling with. Depression and anxiety for the better part of the last 10 to 12 years. And people wouldn't look at me based off my personality, based off my wherewithal, based off my ability to just keep on chugging along as a person who struggles with that type of thing. But I'm 100% telling you right now, I have, in varying ways. The first time we knew something for real was happening, like my brother mentioned, my brain just cut off on me. I was at work one day.
That's not no figure of speech.
It's not a figure of speech at all. I was at work one day, and I describe it now, knowing what it was, and remembering. I was kind of floating around. I was a preschool teacher, lead preschool teacher, and nobody got hurt. Okay, everybody was fine. But no teaching happened that day. I ran the schedule. They did their outside time. They did the painting and they did all that. But there wasn't any teaching. Everybody's diapers got changed. All that stuff happened. And I do remember there was a teacher on the other side who she and I were kind of close. And she wasn't there that day. She took a personal day. And so there was a regular sub. The regular sub asked me a couple of times, "Are you okay?" And I just kept, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." And we went on. The day went on. I drove home. Now, at the time, I worked maybe 4 or 5 blocks from where I lived. So I drove myself home, got home. Kids came in from school, asked me a couple of questions. At this time, I hadn't broken through to a more positive and forward mindset. So my attitude was, still in rare form back then. Kids asked me a couple of questions, both of them, and I kind of blew them off. And they just thought I had an attitude, and they just went on to their rooms and, okay, whatever. A couple hours later, the ex, he comes home. He asks me something. And again, my answer isn't really valid or positive. And so he thinks, what's wrong with her? What? I ain't even seen her all day. What the hell? Why she got attitude? So he gets an attitude and he walks off. But then he comes back and he asks me something else. And it's this time where he realizes, wait, something's wrong. And so he starts to kind of search around. He's checking on me, but he's not really sure what's happening. And so he calls my boss at the time, who was a good friend, and he asks her, did you see Cherie at work today? Did something go on? What's going on? And she tells him, I wasn't at work today. So no, I didn't even go to the center today. I didn't see her. What's happening? He describes what's happening. She says, well, it sounds like you need to take her to the emergency room. He takes me to the emergency room. They ask you all these typical questions, to kind of bring you in. And I didn't know the answers. turns out I knew the answers, but I could not express the answers. So my brain and the ability to transmute responses, it wasn't there. It had turned off. So I'm sitting there like kind of like a zombie from my own self, because y'all see me. I'm not. There's nothing zombie like about me. And so they can't. They run all these blood tests, all this different stuff. They can't figure out anything. There's nothing physically wrong with me. I'm walking. I'm seeing. I'm talking. Kinda. I mean, it's broken and it's not clear what I'm trying to say, because again, my brain has cut off and it has an inability to transmute what I want to say. They're asking me questions like, who's the president? At the time, it was Obama. They're asking me, who are my children? I know who my children are, but I couldn't tell them that. Blood pressure was even perfect. Nope, there was nothing physically wrong with me. So they sent me home because they said, this is something else. She's something mental happening. You need to take her somewhere else. So but they don't tell us it's nighttime now. You can't get in there. We go to the place. The place tells us, you can't come here like that. You have to go to this place tomorrow. Da da da. We do that. But by this time, the ex is freaking out. So he has called my mother. She gets on the road. She comes right to Tulsa, her and her husband. And she's praying the whole time. Okay? The whole time. Because that's what she do. She starts praying soon as she gets there. She done prayed the whole ride there. She is praying.
I got a
okay?
praying mama.
We got a praying mama. Okay? So the next day, we all go to this intake place. And they're asking me questions, trying to figure out what's going on. And I remember something like, can you draw a clock? Can you draw a flower? Simple stuff like that. But again, I can do those activities, but I'm still unable to transmute and respond. So she said, nah, something else is happening here. You need to take her to another emergency room, get a second opinion. They do that. Take me to the second emergency room. I'm still unable to answer any questions, but now the tests are getting more thorough. MRIs, CAT scans, a spinal tap. And by now, this is Wednesday night. They can't find anything physically wrong with me still, but again, I'm unable to transmute answers. And by this time, I'm starting to be hysterical. I'm freaking out. Because I know I'm in there, but they don't know I'm in there. They don't know what's happening. They just see me physically fine. And my mother's like, what's wrong? Why are you? But I can't tell her. So they admit me this time, and they keep running all these tests. Thursday goes, still no ability to, transmute responses. Friday morning, 6 a.m., the normal, they check you every couple of, every hours. They come poke prod at you all these questions or whatever. They've started asking me the exact same questions, just like they started Monday evening. And suddenly I'm answering. Just like that. I'm answering. It was explained as something called conversion disorder. And conversion disorder is a disorder that is a response to stress, extreme stress. And our bodies defend themselves. And any part of our body has the ability to shut off in defense and to start healing itself. It could be your eyes. You can literally go temporarily blind. Your arm can stop working, moving, your legs. Any part, your heart can cut off on you. And that is so much more dangerous because it's not guaranteed that it's going to cut back on in enough time for you to make it. So this is not a safe place to be, regardless, because you don't know if you'll come back. Anyway, I came back, and they said it's stress, do change. And so I did, but not in all the ways I needed to. I did start to de-escalate. I did start to ignore. I did start to stop allowing the thing that had become my life, this gigantic monster that it was, I just kind of started letting shit go. Stop responding to folks. Stop arguing, I just stopped doing that type of thing first. I did not at that time start changing diet, start meditating, start getting deeper in spiritual. I didn't start all that then. Because I wasn't that woke. I didn't know how important those things would be. So, I did some therapy. That was helpful. Um, and yeah, I mean, outside of some memory issues, because I used to have the memory of an elephant, like I didn't forget anything, which is another sign that I have a great tolerance for stress and pain and just stuff. But my body, at some point, will get tired. So that was that time. It was the first time. And I worked really hard and kind of kept it under control as far as I felt then. And then now, exactly 2 years ago, it started again. The first time, like I described, it was a 5-day process. This time, it started happening, and I didn't know it was happening. This is when I had left my now ex and moved. Me and my son had moved. And I had been struggling through depression for 3 strong years at that point. So staying in dark rooms, not going out, sleeping off, often if I'm not working. That had become normal. My son had watched that for several years at that point, so he didn't see any difference. Outside, I did start with missing work appointments, which I don't do because I'm very thorough and professional. Because I don't like to be reprimanded and people tell me what to do. So I just do what I'm supposed to do. Anyway, the way it got found out this time that something was happening, my cousin Ashley, she started texting me one evening. And she was like, "Hey, cuz, what's going on? I haven't heard from you. I haven't seen you on Facebook. And, you good?" And I was in a full-blown state of confusion in that moment. And so my responses were very broken and something like, "I don't know." And she was like, "What do you mean you don't know? Where are you?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "Are you alone?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "Are you home?" And I was like, "I don't know." I didn't know. That freaked her out. She reached out to my youngest brother and told him, "I'm on a date, but if you can't get to her right now, tell me and I'll stop what I'm doing and go." He could. So he went and grabbed something to eat. He came and suddenly he was just there and he woke me up. And I'm looking, I'm confused as fuck. I don't know what's happening. And he was like, he asked me a couple of questions and I don't remember what my responses were to him, but he could register also if something wasn't right. And so he said, "Well, we're gonna put some clothes together or whatever. And you're gonna go with mama." And so mama comes and they were asking Deidre a couple questions. And mind you, like I told you, we had just moved. My apartment was in shambles. And this is abnormal for me anyway. When I move and I do anything,
get it done.
I get it done. I start unpacking. I put my shit away. If y'all decorated to the tents, okay? Not everybody loves it, but I do, so that's all that matters. Anyway, it was shit everywhere. Boxes everywhere. And so I went to my mother's, and then the next day she took me to an emergency room, and again, nothing is physically wrong with me. But this had been going on at this point, we think probably a couple of weeks at least, maybe a little bit more. And nothing, no blood pressure issues, no nothing. So it's the same thing, but worse symptoms. Because this time, to get myself back, because I didn't remember anything at this point. Again, I remembered my sister group though. I did not forget them. There was one in particular that had started inboxing me because I don't know if she had heard something was going on, or if she too noticed, wait, I haven't heard from her, what's going on? I didn't remember her. So I asked my sister group, Leslie, Sharice, Nairi. I asked them, who is this? And should I remember her and what's happening? And they said, you know her, but we got it. Don't worry about it. Take care of you. And I did. I started doing that. It took about a month the way I remember it to pull back out. And this time I had to use stuff like my Facebook to remind myself of me. I remember saying something to my sister at one point. Like, I like me. I'm cool. And she was like, she laughed and she was like, okay. At that time, my sister became the order. She organized my bills. Okay, so got cut off at the end. And I was saying that, I was able to measure through and pull through at that point because I have a family that supported me in the time and the way I needed for them to do. I think I've said thank you to them for all of that, but I'm going to take the time and I'm going to say it again. Thank y'all. Again, not everybody is as blessed as we are in that way. And regardless of frustrations or confusions or, irritations of said bloodline, we love y'all. And we know y'all love us. And that's really the only thing that should matter in that regard.
I'm thankful to be made of all of you because
right,
it's a blessing.
Everybody ain't able. Everybody just don't have it that way.
And we're not talking about material stuff.
At all.
Man, it's such a blessing.
Yeah. So, mental health. It just takes one moment for you to be pushed before you even realized it. And like my brother said, work really hard to dig within. And because we know what feeds us, what doesn't feed us, what tears us down, what hurts us. And sometimes we don't have the strength or the confidence to just shed it because of background things or because of considering somebody else's feelings. Or, there's so many varying reasons why we allow ourselves to fall off into these black holes sometimes. But one of the reasons why this channel was created was to really, for us, because we've both come to this place where healing and moving forward and not allowing trauma or previous negative experiences to hold on to us anymore, so that we can just truly live our best lives and be our best selves. That's the whole reason for this channel. I'm gonna say right now, after I have 100% shed and told y'all a very big window of my story and cried for y'all, share this video, because there are people who just need to hear that it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to take rest. It's okay to find slumber. It's okay to meditate. It's okay to pray. It's okay to find you, heal you, grow you, so that once you've done that, your world, the circle around you, the larger circle around that, it just gets better. It just gets better. We are perfect example that it's real. It's real.
So the thing for me that I think, I really appreciate my sister going ahead and sharing her story in detail. And I really think that for me, I look and hearing the story in real time, and there's more of the details that I didn't necessarily know, that I probably understood from whatever distance I could, but I didn't know the details, and just hearing it play out, and then hearing her mention her family. I wasn't particularly part of that family string that helped her through that. I was actually going through my own mental bout at that very same time, and I couldn't help. And for me, I'm not gonna go deep into the story of how I was, but what I'll say is, for one, for business people and for people who shoulder the load, those types of people who other people depend on to do this or that, whether it be emotional or financial or otherwise, it's okay to have it's okay to not be okay. So just, process it from that point. For other people who aren't Mr. Atlas. I'm Mr. Atlas. You know, Atlas is like the guy with the world on the shoulders. And I've always been Mr. Atlas, and it's never been okay for me to not be okay. And so I'm telling the people like me from a place of, in a quick fashion, my story in similar time frame of when it happened to her. I've shared on this channel before. I almost killed myself, and how it happened. And it, just like she said, it's just a small little straw of things. And that day, I had just finished a long project. I was remodeling homes. If you guys don't know this about me, I'm an avid contractor. I remodeled homes for 2 decades, and now I've moved into strictly roofing. But I'm a construction-minded person. So anyway, this particular day, I had finished a big project, and the guy refused to pay. And
You've been waiting on that money for how many ever weeks you've been waiting on it. Whatever bills is coming, whatever food needs to be fed, whatever water needs to be paid, like the gas need for car, like so many different things are holding. Employees need to be paid. So many different things. That could.
And the thing about this was, I moved down south. We're Kansas Cityans, and I live in Atlanta now. And I went and I moved down south, and I opened a restaurant in Alabama, which was approximately 45 minutes from my home in Atlanta. I opened a restaurant. It failed miserably. Don't do business with your family if the emotional part and the structure between what you guys are really personally isn't in order. Don't do business with people that you're emotionally attached to and have other issues anyway. Don't do it.
If the emotions haven't been clarified, cleansed, healed, and brought to a different place.
Don't do business like that.
Yeah.
I did that. It failed miserably. It sent me on a spin where probably I went backwards of $60,000 or $70,000. I went deep in debt. And to finish that project, So I did that. I moved down south to open this restaurant and retire from remodeling and just do roofing. And the restaurant failed, so I had to jump back into construction in Atlanta, remodeling in Atlanta. I did that for a couple of years, and at this moment, I was just at my wit's end. And I did. At the moment, I got off the phone with him. I'm driving down 85. I start to speed, and I find myself wanting to just flip my vehicle, And I got to the edge of the highway, and I stopped it, and I'm in a crying fit, and I'm yelling at myself, and I snapped. And at that moment, I could have killed myself. I sat there on the side of the highway, cars whizzing by me for maybe 2-3 hours. And I got home, told my wife. She had no response. I processed all of that in a way where, even though I love my wife, and even though she's a great woman and great person, I had to get a divorce. I had to break free of that marriage and that situation. I had to just reinvent myself. And man, I've been through a lot. And as I approach about to turn 40 here, I'll be in a foreign country, and all these things are happening. I've met so many fascinating people in the past couple of weeks, and so many little things. My daughter texts me telling me her credit score is going up, and all of these little things. And, I had an incident with some classmates way back, and then out of the blue, we're at a bar, and he walks up to me and gives me a hug, and just so many things are unfolding right before my 40th birthday, and it's becoming very clear to me that I'm finally making it out of that dark place. And it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay.
So, I think this has been a long enough video, and I think mental health is the elephant in the room in a way where we got to figure out how to address this together as a people, and then we got to figure out how to hold those people who need to be helping us that don't even look like us. We got to figure out a way to hold them accountable, and all these little things are the cures to this mental health issue we have in our communities and in our lives.
And even those of us who are within the community and can help and step up and support and doing even things like this, trying to be available to others and being clear that we all have a story. It's not okay to be, it's okay to not be okay. Struggle is real, but there is way out if you fight to find it.
Dig inside. That's what I did. Before she started meditating, and I actually had a conversation with her to inspire her, one of the people to inspire her to meditate. I was meditating even when I almost killed myself. And so, but I wasn't doing it correctly. I was missing some steps. So you meditate, you get better at anything you do consistently.
Right.
So
there's a growth process in all things.
Digging inside yourself is the actual answer. This is not something I'm telling you just to make you feel good. I understand the people who need this are listening now, and digging inside listen, these are the two components you're going to need to get out of that place. You're going to have to dig inside yourself, and you're going to have to realize that somebody loves you, and it's okay to reach out to that person and unfold before them. Yeah, and allow them to help you.
Neither of us did that part. Neither of us did that reach out. Well, you tried, but it was
those two things. If you do those two things,
yeah, I had gotten to the place of trying. They found me.
There's a way.
Because I mean, who knows how much longer it would have gone on if it hadn't been figured out. I don't know.
So I tell you what, this is a longer video because we're going to add this 12-minute now video to the 20-minute video. We both done started crying on this thing and didn't expect it at all. I knew it was a deep topic. Mental health being the elephant in the room is something that, hey, listen, actually, you know what? I'll tell you what.
You deserve positive. You deserve forward. You deserve growth. You deserve healing. You deserve better and to be happy. And to be well in all ways. You're the key. Just got to do the work.
You are the key.
It's not going to always be easy. Shadow work and addressing demons and, sitting in moments that even you yourself caused. It's not always easy. But I have said a million times, it's possible and it's worth it.
It's worth it.
The person I am today that I wasn't 2 years ago this time.
Because you got to get to living.
That's what brings the tears for me. Just understanding where I finally came from. That's where the tears were. It was that moment in my gut. Like, wow. Yep. No embarrassment, no shame. No negativity in regards to sharing my story because I've already received the message and the download that my story, my testimony it will help people. It will save people. It will bring people to their place. And I'm okay. I'm okay because I dig in and I've done the work.
Love y'all. Positive and forward.